Gita. Hare Krishna. So today, as usual, we'll continue the 6th chapter. Does anyone know the name of the 6th chapter? And my TP behind also is the same. Does anyone know the name of the 6th chapter?
Dhyana Yoga.
Thank you so much. Perfect. Dhyana Yoga. It is also called Ashtanga Yoga, and we'll see why it is called so. So actually, let's understand what yoga, according to people's understanding, is, right? All this is considered as yoga, right? Somebody funnily buries his head here. No, this is all supposed to be classic styles of yoga. This is also called yoga, and this is called beer yoga. Have you all heard of all this? This was a very funny thing. I don't know why that poor deer is cut off. So I think the deer is so nice. No, not deer, sorry, sheep. So this is one time.
Sheep is that, yeah.
Sorry. I've still not come out of the deer which we saw. The tiger, the cheetah and the deer, right? Or the tiger and the deer. So this is the first. Can anyone recognize the first picture? When I saw the beer yoga, I wanted to tell you, like, even when, if anyone of y'all are used to going to gym or martial arts, you know, what they tell is when you're working out, even assuming that yoga is only physical exercise, you can't be drinking one bottle of beer, right? Because even during exercise, you're just supposed to sip water. You don't drink water. So you can see what contradictory versions are. Did anyone find out who is this gentleman in the first picture? If you find the name of the person, I will disclose the story of the person. Hiranyakashipu. So he did this where he went and did yagna for so long, and he was, doing meditation that the ants started building a hill around, ant hill. So that was the irony. And what happens is yoga, there is something called yoga for pregnancy, yoga for physical health. Why Hiranyakashipu they consider funny is because whatever he did, Rama came there, but there is nothing like this prescribed anywhere. And I also saw the show called the Yoga for Cats, right? For cats. So I've got 2 cats. I have to check with the cats if they do yoga, which I'm not aware so far. So yoga for wellness, yoga for backache, yoga for business, yoga for weight loss, office yoga. This we also organize one office yoga tennis. So I don't know what it is. So what's Ashtanga yoga? So let's see actually what Ashtanga yoga means. Ashta means 8, Anga means limb, and yoga means connection. And Ashtanga yoga means 8 limbs of connection. So now what happens is half of it we know, half we don't. We just believe that we know, but the factual fact is we don't know many of the yogas. So now the concept why this has come is, before I kick off in the topic, I want to tell you, do you remember the 5th chapter? And the 5th chapter talks about, the 3rd chapter tells, give me one way, right? Ekam Mada, whether I should renunciate work or whether I should work in devotion. And Krishna says, if you renunciate work, go there and think of the world, then you're a pretender, the Nrityachara. So in the 5th chapter, he's talking about genuine renunciation. And Krishna says, okay, fine, both are good. But, I would support work, renunciate the results, because giving up the work itself is very difficult. So the difficult part is what we are going to see, because somewhere you will tell me, Krishna, why are you judging? We always like to be the decider for ourselves. So thankfully here the entire team is very clear, we will do Bhakti Yoga. But many times I have come across class, especially adults, they'll say, why Mataji, I have been doing yoga for so many years, I'm a yoga teacher. So let's understand what yoga is. So it starts with the first step called the Yama, which is external discipline. We will see each one. Next one is Niyama, internal discipline, asana. That I think all of you know, postures, right? Sitting like this. All this. Pranayama, right? Breath control. That also, breathe through one nose. All this. These 2 we are familiar with. Pratyahara is withdrawal of senses. So how do you withdraw senses? We will see. Dharana is talking about concentration, right? And Dhyana is mental absorption. So Dharana is the first stage where you concentrate. And if you're for a long time in Dharana, you get into Dhyana, right? Meditation. And the next stage is Samadhi. So this is what is Ashtanga Yoga steps. And we will read each one. And now, Simran, you can start reading. And if anybody wants to read, also can raise your hand and you can take turns. Yes, please read Yama. 6.10.
Hare Krishna, ma'am.
Hare Krishna.
He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind.
Thank you so much. So he will first of all go to a secluded place. How many of you all want to go to a secluded place? No phone, nobody there, completely secluded place. One day, okay, I also love, but lifelong, give up everything, school, friends, relatives, everyone, and go to a very, very secluded place. First of all, I'm very scared even for one day. I will take someone. How many of you all like it? Okay, how many of you all feel I can't go to secluded place? One reply I have to get. Yes, no. Acha, Simran has messaged them. Yes or no? Come on, give some reply. No, I also need energy. If you don't motivate me, I feel very sleepy in the afternoon. No? Okay, fast, I'll finish off then the class. Unless I get reply, otherwise I will go fadafat and I'll finish off. So next one is Niyama. So temperate in his habits of eating, sleeping, working, and recreation, right? You try and modulate everything. What do you moderate? You talk about the eating habit, sleeping habit, working and recreation. All this, you try and moderate, right? Don't do too much of eating, too much of sleeping, too much of working, and too much of recreations. Everything is considered. So now they're talking about asana. Yeah, please go ahead, Ma. 6.11 to 14.
Yeah, asana. Lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin. The seat should neither be too high nor too low and should be situated in a stacked place. One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Nice reading. So kusha grass is a type of grass, and and the seat posture. Right, today we are all having problem with spine backache only because of the fact that our postures are so bad. And most of the time we use this so-called computer chair, which has wheels below, and even in the work environment, which they say causes so much of stress for the back, right? And the kusha glass is on the ground and it is covered with deer skin. Can anyone tell me why deer skin? Is there a specific reason? You can type in the chat box. Now the body has to be straight, very unlike what we are sitting. It has to be erect, head, everything should be in a straight line, right? And you should be staring at the nose. Why? Because if you close your eyes, we'll fall asleep. So if you keep your eye open, your eye will be distracted, right? You'll see this, and you will immediately get carried forward. So you have to keep your body, everything in a single straight line. And you should be focused, watching the tip of the nose. Try this once and don't complain if you have a headache. Thus, your mind should be unagitated and subdued mind, devoid of fear. Should not have any fear and should be completely free from any sexual relationship and start meditating upon God. Pranayama, this you all know, 5.29. Not 5.29, so 6.29. Yeah, please go ahead.
Practice stopping into the moment of the outgoing breath into the incoming and incoming
You can't read breath into the outgoing and thus remain in
thus
trance.
at
Past the trance. So what they are telling is, you will try and moderate, right? So all the movement of breathing, right? Outgoing, incoming, they will swap. So by doing that, it's pranayama, it's the breathing exercise, which is the only thing which we'll be familiar with. And pratyahara 6.15 is cessation of material existence. That means anything material. Even eating, they will eat for the sake of, keeping themselves alive. For example, if they eat, let's say they eat food, chapati, chutney, rasam, sambar, sweet, soup, what they will do is they will not even have variety. And even if they have, they will mix everything. They'll have rice and they'll put everything sweet also so that they don't want to have that fine taste because they want to be away from all this taste. And that is why this is important, right? Dharana disciplines this mental activity and becomes suited in transcendence. All his all his mental activities will be into transcendence and he will be devoid of all material desires. So whatever we saw the video, right? Just the video we saw from a childhood, he starts loving the balloon, then the girl, then at his dead birth, he is thinking of what kind of a cross we need and that kind of interest he will have, right? So that's how he attains yoga. And Dhyana. Hare Krishna, please read Dhyana, 6.19. Read both Dharana
As a
and
lamp, yes, ma'am.
read even Dharana 6.18 and then go on.
Okay. Dharna disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desire. He is said to have attained yoga. Dhyana, as a lamp in a windless place, does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remained always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self.
Hare Krishna. So very clearly, lamp in the windless place, right? It does not wave. If you see, it's completely settled. Why are they giving this example? Is that person's meditation is so settled. How many of you all have tried meditating and at least for 1 minute you could be without getting diverted? Not me. In fact, when I used to do meditation, when I tried, I used to get severe headache. So any kind of exercise I could do, and yoga actually means huge, right? It's connecting with God. But our definition of yoga is not do anything and meditate. What we will meditate on, I don't know. But when the mind is blank, focusing here, I used to get severe headache, right? So this is what they used to do for hours together. And Samadhi, I'll read because you can't see the last. Right? Okay. Yeah. So it is, we think it is possible, but practically it becomes impossible, right? So now let's take Arjuna. Does all of you feel, okay, before I ask you this question, anyone has a doubt about Arjuna? I asked you this earlier and you already told no, you all are all confident about Arjuna being the best guy. So let's read about our hero, right? So Arjuna, when he was a small child, he could really spot when Dronacharya asked, what are you nailing at? He said, at the eye, right? Rest of them told bird, sky, everything. So that was his level of accuracy. Now you also know during the Draupadi's time, he could see, the water below and shoot at the eye of the fish. And he was called Sabyasachi, which we read that he can actually, fight with both hands. You've already seen that, during exile, they've had this experience of being, in the forest, walking barefoot, managing the thing. He is an expert. He has fought with Lord Shiva and he has got a lot of things gifted by him, especially the weapon which Shiva gave. And also he appears, again during the next time. In fact, there are two births. This is one is Naranarayana. That is a previous birth before Krishna came into being, doing Bhagavad Gita, being in a sense in the earth 5,000 years back. In the previous yugas, he had appeared as twin brother, Nara and Narayana. Nara is Arjuna and Narayana is our blue-handed, Krishna. So he had already come in that form. And now we all know that Krishna and Arjuna are great Peter, right? So what is the story? In this, what is happening? Let's see. Hare Krishna. Shanchalam hi mana Krishna Ramati Balabhadridham Tasyaham Nigraham Manye Vayur Iva Sudushkaram. Vayur means air. He's telling Chanchala, mana. Heart is flickering. Okay, Krishna. So I can control even the breeze, but I cannot control my mind. Right? Mana is jumping like a monkey. Keeps jumping, so I cannot do is what he says. For the mind, please go ahead and read.
For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Kanaya, and to subdue it, I think is more difficult than controlling the wind.
He says it's more difficult. Yeah, please continue.
The blessed Lord said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by constant practice and by detachment. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work, but he whose mind is controlled and who strives by right means is assured of success.
Thank you so much. So if you see, the blessed Lord said, Krishna is telling So Arjuna is saying I can even control the mind, but I can definitely not control whatever you're talking about. I mean, I can control the wind, but I cannot control the mind. Now, Krishna never told. I told you, no, fifth chapter. Like normally our teachers tell, no. I told you that time itself you should be ahead. Did you listen to me? I told you it is not possible. He doesn't say that. This is the quality of a true teacher. There is a difference between a speaker and a teacher. Can anyone tell me the difference between a speaker and a teacher? Speaker just vomits, right? On the outlook, both look the same. Both of them tend to appear the same. They come, they are both presently, they try and clarify it out. But the difference is that speaker just tells. Speaker will only give you feedback, if at all they give. But the teacher tells you how you can overcome that challenge. Teacher gives you a hand and takes you along with her or him, right? So the speaker is someone who can just tell you as it is, right? That's a speaker. Like a parrot, right? What does a parrot do? It will hear from here and it will come and tell here. So a parrot is also a speaker, but a teacher is different from a parrot, right? We are human beings. We are not parrots. So what should we do when we teach? We should try hard to get the other person, even if the person is wrong, even if the person is making a mistake. A teacher will not judge. A teacher will take an opinion, will hear the person out and carry the person to the other side. That is why we believe a genuine guru is someone who will give a hand and help us cross through the ocean. Not tell, hey, you're useless. You just can't do it. Okay, are you sure that you can do it? Is it possible? Do you think, will you be able to do all these kind of funny questions that teachers don't ask? So they are speakers, right? So you should start understanding these fine differences, because as you scale up, we have already started reading, now today you read Adi Baudika, Adi Admika and Adi Devika. So why I brought Adi Baudika is Adi Baudika will always be there. Somebody will cause distress. You can't change, but Adi Admika is within our control. So can you control yourself so that the other things don't matter, right? For one whose mind is unbridled, it is very easy. And if you can control your mind, then it is possible. Saying Krishna, it is possible. It doesn't say it's not possible. Now, is a mind friend or an enemy? Can anyone tell whether it's a mind is a friend or an enemy?
It depends on how we give our mind, guide our minds in the situation.
So I'm going to ask you one question. When you have exam tomorrow, do you tell your mind you should not play with mobile or see the mobile even for 2 minutes? Yes or no? Yes or no? But can you stick to that?
No. It's difficult to stick, but
yeah, so there's always a but. The point is, mind ideally should be a friend, but unfortunately it is our enemy, right? Because we don't want, but we do that. So that's the biggest challenge. So what is the problem is that the mind currently is continuing to be our enemy. So this is the challenge, but mind will always, we would love to be with a friend, right? So imagine if the mind is an enemy, which is the current situation, 24/7, we are sitting with the enemy. Can you believe? Can you even entertain a friend in your house for 5 minutes? We don't even feel like opening the door. But today, our mind is an enemy, means we are sitting 24/7 with this enemy mind with us, right? So it says in 6.6, friend for him who, please read, you should be reading.
For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his very mind will be the greatest enemy.
Hare Krishna, very nice. Thank you so much. Thanks for reading. Mohandas Prabhu, correct. Most of the time it's an enemy and it wanders all the time. True. Would like to make it a friend through Krishna conscience. Doubly answer. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes. So through Krishna conscience, you should try and make it a friend. Otherwise, you will sit with this enemy not 24/7. So what is the destination of someone who fails to achieve success in yoga? 6.41. I'll read these two important. After many, many years of enjoyment on the planet of pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into the family of rich aristocrat. Now here, anybody, in fact, I asked this question, you have already answered. Let's say that you all have 1 crore bank balance and you have studied so well this time. Can you carry it forward in your next birth? Can you say, okay, I had 1 crore. So next time I will be born in a family who has more than 1 crore. No assurity, right? We can be born in a very low, poor family too, or vice versa. But now very beautifully, Arjuna is asking this question. Okay, you're talking about yoga practice and bhakti. What if the person fails, right? There is a possibility of failure. Now he will give up everything, he will go do practice, what will happen? Right? So Krishna is telling You don't have to worry. There are two levels, right? Level 1 is he achieves, let's say 60%. And there are three options. One is level 2 is 20%. Level 1 is he's just achieved 20%. Level 2 is he's achieved, let's say, about 50%. And level 3 is achieved about 90%. So he says, like, if he's achieved 50-60%, then he will be born in the family of righteous people or aristocrats, so that he need not run for a living. Classic example is all of us. None of us are really struggling for living. Otherwise, we won't be sitting and listening to the class. One of us should be going and washing vessels or doing a part-time job to sustain. But if your present is 90%, then he has addressed in 6.42. He takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Verily, such a birth is rare in this world, right? Very rare. But if that scope is there, like Prabhupada, I told, right? At the age of 5, he could do all this. So he will be born in the family of transcendentalists, and that birth is very rare. Now, what happens to the next option, 20%, right? Then your bhakti will be there. You're already 20%, then you'll continue from 21%. Now, who is the greatest yogi? Narada will be finding out tomorrow. So we will learn about the story of Narada. But before that, let me just take you quickly through this. All yogas are progression towards the destination of Bhakti Yoga. Right? We have read Karma Yoga, which we saw in the 3rd and 5th chapter twice. And then we also read Jnana Yoga in chapter 4. And now we've read Ashtanga Yoga. What are these? Are they different ranks? No, he says all are the ranks towards Bhakti. Everything is going towards Bhakti. All the yogas who have always, please go ahead and can you please read this? Hare Krishna, please read this.
Hare Krishna. And all of yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all.
Thank you so much. So he says, of all the yogis who's always abiding in me in great faith, worshipping me in transcendental, the one who is very intimate is the one who is united with me, right? Whoever is with me. So yoga, spiritual practice, right? So we will now stop here, because from here, right, we will talk about various yoga practices tomorrow. So we will start with the life of Narada, because tomorrow is our extended session for 6th chapter. We will read the life of Narada. We will do stories from Narada, and we will also go through various yogas. So thank you so much. Let me finish the prayer. Vancha kalpadarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, all of you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. So all of you, any doubts so far? Otherwise, today is the 6th day, 6 into 6, 36. And who's going to do the chanting? And obviously you can ask doubts and then do the chanting. Otherwise, I'm going to assign randomly. Who is going to do chanting? Saloni, today you? Are you okay?
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much. So today you do 36 times. Prior to that, do you all have any doubts? Any doubts? No? No doubts? Everything is clear? Is everything clear? Or nothing is clear? Or Mataji, we don't want this chapter. We are not planning Ashtanga Yoga. I felt like that. Initially, I said, I don't want this chapter because I'm not planning Ashtanga Yoga. So it's clear. So I will go on mute and no doubts from anybody, right? Shivam, no doubts today?
No, Mataji. I'll think and then we'll ask. Sure.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much. So Salome, you can start chanting 36 times. Hare Krishna. I'll go on mute.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Salome, you will start with Hare Krishna. The mantra from Goloka Vrindavan is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Okay. Apologize, ma'am.
Thank you so much, dear.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Hare.
You start with Hare Krishna.
Sorry.
Hare Krishna,
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna. Okay, ma'am. Sorry.
No problem.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. And Prabhu, you can stop recording. When we start chanting, you can stop recording.